30. The clock's a little fast. Almost. Half a second, half a minute. Philip, what?
A couple of weeks ago, and I was going to bring it up last week, and I just flat forgot about it. Larry Tanner approached me, called me in and said that they had a dust problem down there by his place, his parents' place. A few years ago, we had put dust abatement on that road, which is calcium chloride. At that time, we paid for everything. And it worked fairly well. But he asked me if we would do that again. I said, that's something that you guys would have to decide. But I know other counties do, if the resident will pay for the product that they put it on. I don't know of any county that does it for free anymore. And most of those counties are back to the east. I wish we're a lot more heavier.
Where they have rock everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, because you gotta scaffold the surface a little bit and put this down and then roll it in and stuff. I mean, it worked well for a long time because we put
How many other houses do we have on roads that
crap.
we've tore up? Because I can think of at least,
Just on that road.
there's 3, isn't there? I guess Harold, Larry,
Pickle,
Nichols and Johnson's.
yeah, just on that road.
Johnson, yeah.
You know, it'd have been nice if we could have left that a blacktop, but that's a lot of miles of blacktop for 4 houses. And at one time,
Yeah.
there was a lot of houses on that road. But I mean, you take about that, we take care of that road, that blacktop that was tore up north of Zenith, didn't we?
We got 4 miles over there.
Yeah.
I kind of like that on the 4 miles south of the 5281 by Ed Fox's, where there's just that little strip of asphalt right in front of his house, to where you're on rock
Yeah.
and then you drive and there's just a little bit of
Yeah,
asphalt
and we
on rock
have,
again.
we have a few issues at the end, but
Yeah.
they're nothing major, and we have to go put rock in it every once in a while to smooth the transition out. And then we'll run down there and seal it every once in a while, but we really don't do a lot to it,
Yeah.
so.
Is the
And that's
majority of the cost in the potassium chloride, or is it the,
Well, it runs about $1 a gallon, or a little more, depends on the freight.
does 500 gallons do it, or?
No, I think the last, let me see.
Did you buy that from?
We did it, I think the last time we did it was in 2014,
Who did you buy it from?
Scotwood Industries. And it was about $4,500. And then we did that stretch from there all the way, from right about Larry's driveway, the west driveway, down to,
The curve, probably.
well, no, west of Larry's driveway,
Oh.
to down there, probably halfway between Harold Adams' driveway and the township road there going to the south, which would be 50th, Southwest 50th Avenue.
I guess what I'm getting at is, if we do it for them, we might end up doing it for everybody that lives on these roads.
Oh, I agree, I mean, or they ought to have that opportunity, or what, just however it's done.
And as far as I know, we have to maintain the roads, but I mean, no other township worries about dust on somebody that lives on a dirt road. So why should my tax dollars go down there
That's why,
to cause
that's
dust?
why you guys are gonna
Yeah.
decide and not me.
Yeah, I would say, I really don't have a problem with them scratching the surface and working it in if they want to buy the material.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's county responsibility, but I mean, if they want
It doesn't
to, if the
really.
people buy the product.
Well, that's why I was trying to figure out if the majority of the cost is in the product or if it's in your
Well,
time.
there would probably be just, I don't know how much time there was in prepping it, it's not that much. I mean, most of the other counties that I talked to did this, they would get a month where they could get a load, and then they would come in and prep all these sites and then they put it on. So, like if we were gonna do that, you know, do that one road or
Yeah,
Because you
And
can't
it's
get
in
them
your
too
busy-
spread out.
and it's in your busy time of year, I mean,
Oh, yeah.
But it's probably 2 guys all day. By the time you drive a grader down there and you drive a packer down there,
Oh, yeah.
And you spread it?
It would probably have to be this fall now, because,
yeah. But what are you gonna do when we got 30 more houses that want to do that? Because then we're gonna come up back here and then we're gonna go, oh, no, we're not gonna do that. And then
And
they're
then
gonna
some got it
say,
done and some
well, you already did it for Larry Tanner. You didn't do it. Why are you doing it now? So if we decide to do this, we're setting a precedence whether we gotta do it for 35. Because once we do it for him, we can't turn around next year and go, well, we're getting too much, we're not gonna do
because
it.
you got, you know, over on Midwest Road, you have Larry Curtis's, and then you have
Clint
Bonner's.
Bonner.
In my house.
In that-
That's not a county maintained road.
Okay.
I can just see Clay with a hand sprayer out there spraying this.
But you guys understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
No, I
I
get
mean,
it.
we're
Is
setting
this,
a
is this,
precedence.
is this more of a dust problem than any place else?
No, not really. I don't think the only problem is it sits in there. I mean, there's trees.
Yeah, there's trees on
the
both
south,
sides, so it kind of settles in there.
I mean, it's not, I wouldn't say it's overly dusty compared to some places, but I mean, that's nothing but a matter of opinion, and so everybody has their own.
Is it a dollar?
I mean,
No. Last time in 2014, you bought 3,176 gallons. It was $1.37 a gallon, so $4,300.
So-
And
So
that was
$4,300 to keep the dust out in front of one
3,176
house.
gallons.
Yeah, I
And
don't
that was
really want
2
to get
years
that
ago.
started.
2014.
Plus-
But I
plus
mean, we're
the-
shorthanded now.
Yeah,
So-
plus the amount of work, I just,
So today's market.
well, we'd
is
have to,
probably
it
looking
would
at-
take
Okay.
basically a day, because you go in there and you scour part of that surface a little bit.
Yeah.
To open it up, and then you put the calcium chloride on, and let it soak in a little bit.
by the time you, yeah.
You,
Yeah.
By
But
the
you
time
know, I was kidding around about 35 or 40 people, but if you got 5 people on separate sides of the county want it done next year, are you guys sitting around the shop enough that you got 5 days to run around and do that?
very seldom do we have 5 days of anything.
That's what I'm
other
getting
than
at.
when it's really wet. I mean, and nobody can do anything with the sand.
Yeah,
That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah. No, we don't have much time to kill.
I mean, you could very easily come up with 10 houses across the county, that'd
Oh,
be
yeah.
50,000.
Well, you got 2
Yeah.
west of town.
If we do 4,100 for the material, and then you figure 2 guys and machinery for a day, that's $1,000 easy.
Yeah.
So
Well, you have 2 west of town,
5 grand.
Prescott's and Regals.
Yeah.
Yeah. My opinion's just to not do it.
The only
We can
one
give
up
them the
north
contact
would
on,
be,
on where to get the stuff, I guess.
there's only one along the Seward Road, actually, so, and that's Dee Hans. And I'm not sure if she's still living there or not.
Yeah, she is.
Is she? But I mean, there's a big house, so.
Yeah.
So you spray this on, you use the sprayers that you do in the wintertime for intersection?
No, they actually have a applicator with their truck that they bring out. It just folds out.
So that
So this-
$1.70 some a gallon is applied.
Yes.
It's probably 70 cents per application.
Yeah, and that was when freight rates were a little bit lower, so who knows what anything is right now, but goodness, they just, yeah.
So if they wanted to do that themselves, they could probably take a packer out there.
Well, I would be in favor of somebody try to do this themselves, just because it's ours to maintain, and
Yeah.
it needs to be done properly.
Yeah.
Well, if you don't work it in, it'll just be on the very top.
We had a learning
And then
curve
blow
with
off.
it too.
Does it really knock down on it though?
Yeah, it did help.
I remember up at Manhattan, north of Manhattan, on all those rock roads, that the county was always doing that, you know, north of the lake, but it seemed like they had that deal on the front of their, on the front of their grader sawtooth, that they were scowling, you know, as they went by,
Mhm.
and then they had trucks with a big tank in the back that they were spraying,
So,
and then they might have been rolling it back and forth too.
yeah, and they may have just been, some of the counties do have water trucks and they spray it down.
Yeah.
When they put rock down or stuff like that, just to help it seal down better. So.
Yeah.
So what's the consensus then?
My vote's just to not do it.
Yeah,
I agree.
yep.
Okay, that's all I needed to know. So, I did what I
How many
needed to.
miles is that road? Do you have any idea?
That one's 7 or 8. Let me see.
I thought it was more than that, because
One,
it's 3 to the, off of Dillon Road.
2, 3.
9.
Yeah,
It's 9.
So it's not.
I should know that off the top of my head, to make sure I counted it.
We know you're getting old.
No, it's just not that important to know how many miles it's on that.
We're just glad you remember to put clothes on before you come to the meeting.
Yeah, well, I'm not going out of the house without them. You guys got anything else?
No, we're good. Thanks, Phil.
All right.
I saw you guys were hauling some sand up there out of the pile by Radio. Are you guys getting ready to start oversealing, or what are you guys doing?
We hauled some sand up to Radium, you mean?
Well, you had your loader.
Oh, he's picking up piles and stuff along the side of the road that they dug out.
Oh.
So we don't take the mower and throw stuff. Or periodically, we have to do that, just so that it doesn't become an issue with liability and other things.
Yeah.
New mowers are working good, except we lost a windshield or a windshield in the back window. But that happens with mowers every once in a while.
Does it have the little chain guards that hang down on the front?
Yeah, actually, he said he saw wire, and, oh geez, there's nothing you can do about it.
Okay.
Even if you had something there, if you start spooling up wire and it slaps, it's,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
At least he wasn't looking at it and got a face full of
Yeah.
ice. So that was the most important thing, so.
Okay.
All right, thank
Thanks,
you.
Phil.
And do the minutes.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes of the June 23rd, 2021 meeting.
Second?
Then moved to second. We accept the minutes of June 23rd. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. No tax abatements.
No?
No tax.
Okay. Carol, we recess.
Thank you.
Mike?
Yes, you can.
But we're handing out the same thing?
Oh, I bet we are.
Oh, okay, you've got a different front
Never
page
mind.
though.
I've got a little bit more.
Oh, okay. Then
If you want.
look for you.
I mean, I have a little bit more in my packet. It's the
Okay,
same
that's fine.
information. It's
Yeah.
the same information.
Okay,
I just stuffed a little bit more in there.
oh, that's fine.
There's a format.
Yes.
Bigger print, thanks.
Are you ready for us? Sure. Yeah,
Yes.
okay, okay. Well, glad to be back. Dr. Carter sent his apologies. The weather has messed him up in trying to get up here. Because of the potential problems, I just went ahead and drove. So I had that this morning, and he got with me, and it wasn't gonna work out. So I'm here, so he got me. What I gave you is, well, I'm really only gonna talk about the budget, I'll talk about it if you like something, I just don't want to bore you. What I did, I threw in a little bit of a recap of some of the just the pertinent hospital statistics that we keep track of, to kind of give you a little bit to compare. You got 19, 20, and then 21, the annualized number of 21, so you kind of trend things. And for what it's worth, I highlighted the ones that are kind of the bigger ones that I look at. So you can kind of look at and see trending, and it has some value and some purpose. At least it gives you a sense for, are things dramatically changing one way or the other. Some areas go up, some areas go down. What I'd say is it's fairly consistent, fairly static from year to year, given in total. And that's what you would expect. You wouldn't expect it to be dramatically changing unless there's some real significant changes that happen. So anyway, but there are the numbers there, so you can look at some of the admissions and some of the outpatient activities that are going on. And, it's, some areas, like I said, some areas go up, some areas go down. And so what I included, and then, so there's your statistics, the next 2 pages of the budget, which is really what I talked about. And then just because I had it, and, you know, I threw in the May financials and the narrative that goes with it, and I just stuck it on the back there. If you want to talk about something that we can, we have to. But-
Back on the front page,
Yeah.
on your 2021 where it says annual,
Mhm.
is that, the first line is May 21st, that's the actual numbers
That's
this
it,
year.
right, and then we should annualize all that.
And then annually, it's usually,
This is, well, what I did is the annual is just taking that
That be
May
calculated out
and
throughout the
dividing
year.
it, it's 5 months, so divided, what we have so far, divided by 5 times 12 to get to that.
He's basically annualizing it out throughout the year, so he's taking up to May, and then
I've got-
taking that number, and then projecting it out to the end of the year.
Right, what I've got
What it
is,
would be,
yeah,
if you kept going on the way it was.
right, I've got May, these are, the 2019 is an annual number, 2020 is a hard annual number. May is a hard number for 5 months, and then I just take that and annualize that, so you've got something to compare 2021 with
Yeah.
the prior 2 years. That's what.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I just show you, that's really just.
But it does look like it's pretty, like you're saying, pretty static.
If you look at different
Annualize
areas,
it out.
I mean, yeah, if you look at different areas, you know, like you look at the very top line, our acute admissions are actually down for the year, which is important. Swing bed admissions are what generally generate more cash for us in our acute, so swings a little bit more significant. It's up, down, and then, but you look at kind of outpatient, PT, it's up, OT is up, radiology is up, ER is actually down a little bit, and home health down a little bit. So that's going, it goes up and down. In total, it's a normal.
Yeah. Why do you think these acutes are down?
It's just, it's a relatively, for the hospitals, acute admissions are a relatively low volume item.
Yeah.
And so it's just the ebb and flow of the year.
Yeah.
It's very likely.
You may get a bunch in 1 month and make it walk away.
I can create all kinds, I can make up all kinds of scenarios for you as
Yeah.
why possibly, and it's not worth like the time.
Nobody knows.
But historically, that will probably strengthen, if that was indicated, it'll probably strengthen through the end of the year. That's it.
Yeah.
Disease-wise, maybe you're.
But I mean, you're really talking, but you're talking pretty light volume anyway, so a few more admissions over a few months makes a big difference.
Yeah.
That's what's going on. So that's, okay, but what I'm really here to talk about is the budget, which is the second page, unless y'all have anything more to talk about. And that's really all I was planning on talking about, is what I've got here on the operating budget, for our budget for the year, to kind of give you, and I'm just gonna look at this front page. The second page takes this and spreads it out over 12 months, and it's really more of an eye test, just to see if it really is so small. But that's what that next page is about. So the important ones is first is, and so as you, I'll start up here, lines 1 through 8, or revenue. Oh, and then also you've got 2016 actual, 17 actual, 18 actual, 19 actual. You've got 20 actual, it's not been audited. And then 2021 is taking, this is mostly April, there's a little May that I was able to capture, it's got to bring as much actual into it, and just projecting off of that. So 2021 is an annual number projected off of about 4 or 5 months. And then you come over here to what we're anticipating our 2022 budget to be. Okay, and so moving to the 2022 budget, line 1 through 8, the methodology behind that, what I do, and it's worked for years, is I rely primarily when it comes to revenue on the most recent year. Revenue, and just the activity in the hospital, it becomes more and more stale as you go over it. So I rely pretty heavily on 2021, and then I just added a 5% to it, just to give us a target to shoot for, opportunity for growth. And you always want to budget some kind of growth, something to said we're gonna try to do a little better this year than we were last year. And so that's what the number is, 2021 times 1.05 gives you a budget number of 5.4 million. Moving on down in the revenue reduction, there's line 9 through 18. What I do there, I want to exclude the Medicare contractions right now, it's a little bit animal, but all those other categories, Blue Cross, Medicaid, commercial, self-pays, and all those. What I do is I take the last 2 years, the average percentage, apply that to the amount of revenue associated with that particular payer, and that's where I arrive at the budgeted deductions off of the revenue above for that particular payer. The revenue above is not identified uniquely by payer, so we get down to deductions of this. And so I'll take that piece, the average of those two, percentage times that payer's volume that we're budgeting, and come up with my adjustment. That's a lot of talk to say. It's basically the last 2 years with some effort to try to make it, to try to draw it uniquely to that particular payer. Okay? And then on the Medicare contractual, pretty similar discussion, except for with Medicare, we are, and that's just the value of being a Critical Access Hospital, is we're paying considerably more than what we do. Just the nature of, that's how that works. That's the nature of how Critical Access Hospital works. And so you see that number in brackets is actually saying we're going to pay that much more over the course of the year from Medicare than what we do.
So why isn't that in the revenue line?
Well, because hospital accounting. That's just the nature, that's where you put it. That's just the industry standard. The auditors, when they do their audits, that's the same thing. You just adjust, because basically what it is when you do your cost report and you get that additional money, it's, the revenue is what you charge for the service. Contractual is the impact of what the payer is going to pay. And so for most of them down here, you're not going to get paid. That's kind of normal hospital and hospital billing is. For most other payers, you're never paid for 100% of your services. You're going to adjust off a portion of it. That's generally our contract. You have to agree with them that they're willing to, why they're agreeing to pay for those services for that individual. Be willing to pay those money. That's normal. Medicare works the same way, except for critical access, and they're going to give you a cost. So and that's why critical access hospitals are the state place in business. And that Medicare does not look at critical access hospitals primarily as a hospital supposed to be able to make money on its own. Medicare looks at the hospital as ensuring that real health care is taking place. And so without that adjustment, you wouldn't have the hospitals. And so Medicare just, okay, we're going to pay for it. And it's all politically driven, but they've agreed to do that. So the contractual here, so I said all that. The contractual basically is the same as the others, except we're getting more. But also, I made an adjustment to try to get this guy right in the cost report. Because all of it, if I didn't do anything in the cost report, everything I just talked about is based on, is based on interim payments. We give interim payments anticipating what we ought to say in the cost report based on the prior cost report. And so they'll pay us X dollar, they'll pay us $5,000 a day to take care of a patient in the hospital throughout the year based on the number of patient days. Then when we get to the cost report, we'll like to look at the cost and look at how much they pay us based on the interim fee, and then we'll set up with what I described as it's kind of the opposite of your tax return. It flips out to the tax. What you're doing when you're through the year, you're paying in either through withholding or self-employment tax or whatever. You're paying into the government what you anticipate your tax bill to be, your tax return, and you settle out for a refund and have to pay more. The cost report works just the opposite of this. The federal government that's paying us on an interim basis through the year. And when we do the cost report, we settle out if it pays too much, and we got to pay it back, or if it's not pays enough, we get more. And so the cost report in This, it can go either way. What we're looking at for 2022, and we did have reviewed some expenses that our costs, we have, we talked about some on the board meeting about was that we're coming into what is going to be a new normal. The old normal, pre-COVID, we have COVID, the COVID period of time, totally. And then we're transitioning into by the time we get into 2022, we're transitioning into hopefully getting back to what it's going to be. The new normal for us. Okay, so I said all that. Now, I hope I haven't lost it. I said all that to say, on this Medicare contractual adjustment line, I made an attempt, I budgeted an additional amount in there for what I think is a good safe number for the cost report settlement for 2022, which is going to be but we do try to capture that in the present summary. So that brings us down to, you have total, line 8 is the total gross revenue of about 5.4 million. You have line 19, which is negative contractual of about 5 million. And that brings us down to a net patient revenue of about 10.2 million. And this is going up, and you can see coming across it's going up. And it's because of that Medicare additional account. Okay, so there's that. So we bring in some other revenue items. This is taxes, interest income. There's a variety of other operating revenues that we generate in our substantial third payroll. That brings it down to line 24, which is total revenue of about 10.8. Now for the operating expenses. For everything but line 27, contract labor, and 29, purchase services, the general, well, 25, let's talk about that. Salaries and wages, there's a portion of what the hospital's labor, some of their employees are part of the hospital's payroll system. And so with that one, with those wages and the benefits, I took the 2021 year and added a 3% increase for pay rates for pay and then floated every other benefit. So that's lines 25 and 26. Okay, now lines 27 and 29, I'm going to save that for last. The rest of them, 28 and then 30 on down. That one on the expenses I take basically the prior 2 years, average that out and carry that across. And so that's each one of those lines, like got supplies, and expense, rent, depreciation, utilities, dues, all these other items, even bad debt provision coming at the bottom. All those items, it's just the average of the prior 2 years. On 27 and 28, contract labor and purchase services. Primarily, that's part of professional control. So those two pieces are going up pretty big. Lead well, contract labor is going up actually it's offset by that purchase services piece to a certain degree. And this is where it gets to be normal. What we've done is, and this just was approved a month ago, is the cost report provides opportunities to capture more and more federal dollars if you have to pay, you've got to incur the cost and you've got to pay it back. And so one area that about the hospital in terms of our expenses are those items that are heavy Medicare, acute, swing, there are a few other areas, but primarily those areas, you can, it really doesn't matter how much you spend within reason personally. It doesn't stay place on it, what's reasonable, but in Kansas, what's reasonable is very reasonable there, but most of the country, so we're very reasonable. You're able to build, if you can get more costs in those areas. And what we've done is we have created a significant change to how we pay our nursing staff, RNs, those folks that regularly take care of folks that basically live in the hospital dramatically. And have to do it if we had one, we had to, but there is a mechanism for getting that done on hospital. So reflective hospitals have this benefit of being able to make that happen. And so, and the effect of that is almost immediate, is all the staffing struggles and challenges that you have in trying to find nurses, trying to find good nurses and retain nurses, those are just gone away almost immediately, just because of the competitive effect. I would even say more than the hospitals and hospitals. So this should have a pretty dramatic impact. I personally think it will have, we can do it. It's nice to be able to take care of those employees that way. But it also does a lot to help improve on the quality of employee that you have, which relates to the quality of care that's going to be provided, which just reflects on the how the hospital is perceived in the community. And so there's a kind of a walk, you kind of walk through that, you get yourself to a really good place. And so that's what we're doing. And what I'll say is the mechanism for making that happen, normally you wouldn't be able to do this because it takes so long to get paid for it. It's all this COVID money, this crazy monopoly money that we got sitting around, is we're using that to make that transition to it, and it makes it work. So that being said, that's how all these lines came to be, and kind of the methodology behind that. Our total operating expenses are projected out to be about 11.8. That's a net loss of a little bit over $1 million. Other operating revenue, what this is, that 512,000 there on line 46, it's kind of, we're still in COVID. In 2022, we'll be transitioning out of COVID, so there's still going to be some of that. The bulk of that is just the kind of the residual carryover of some of the COVID funds that'll be recognized in 2022. So that brings us finally down to line 47. I budgeted the bottom line loss of about 547,000.
That's projected for
2022. Correct. And that's actually that's a pretty reasonable number there, and that can work very nicely, in my estimation. The next page is just, if you're wanting to, the next page is just taking that page you just talked about, and then just spreading it out over the 12 months. Okay. So that's all it is. And then the May financials, they're just for you to peruse and review if you choose to.
What's your current status with the COVID? I know when I was selected, I came over and talked to you guys and toured the hospital.
Okay.
And at that time, they were dishing out a bunch of COVID money, but I haven't talked to you guys since. I guess what's your status with the COVID money that you got, and do you have any big plans, or I guess updates?
We'll tell you what, you're right on that next page. That narrative for the May financials,
yes.
That top paragraph there is what I normally do in our normal meetings. The first thing I talk about is CARES.
We're dealing with the same thing.
And so here's what you got. Here's what you got of all the various CARES programs, all the COVID programs. CARES is just one piece of it. The PPP loans, the payroll protection program loans. A little further, that's a little too far.
Do 1, 2, 3 pages.
The payroll protection program, the PPP loans, that's already done. So it's the money, we got the money, we demonstrated we used it. We've already reported it, and we've already got the notice that we're done with it.
Yeah.
The CARES grants, this is the big money for us. The CARES grants, well, there's two big piles of money, but the COVID money to be used. Where we're at on that is, we received that money right at the 1st of May of last year, and we had been in the process of the bulk of what we used that for. Well, part of what we used it for was some remodeling of the hospital, and that project's just about done. The biggest piece was paying our hospital employees that are actually on site hazard pay.
Yeah.
We added an extra $10 an hour to their paycheck for all their productive time while they're working at the hospital. And then we adjusted it down to $5. And that was, initially it was supposed to have all been used before the end of last year. COVID took more time, and so they pushed it off till June 30, tomorrow. It's today the 30th. Today's the 30th, isn't it? Today. And we even had some thought that they might push that a little further. What they did extend that out a little bit, but it was dependent upon when you got your money. And we just got that notice like about a week and a half ago. No talk, nothing, no direction, no direction, nothing. And here you go. And what they said though, was for those who received their money early on, which is us, we were still going to be held to the June 30 deadline to spend everything, and then have the next 90 days to report. If you received your money a little later in the year, they did push that one off to where you could go to the end of the year or a little bit further. But for us, it doesn't matter. For us, it was today. And so we had used up, it was about $3 million we'd used up in those other programs I was talking about. We probably used up all but about 700,000 of it as of about a week ago. And then so we've been spending the last week and a half, spending $700,000.
Yeah.
We did. And we did.
At the end of the day, we will.
Yeah, right. Todd's got one last piece, but, and we did some more retroactive hazard pay. We just figured, take care of your employees. I mean, this isn't, for all the craziness that this thing is, and for the accountants in the room, it's been driving us crazy. It's been just miserable trying to keep track of all this stuff.
With no guidance.
Yeah.
Little or no guidance.
But that being said, it has been, for hospitals, a boon. I mean, this is amazing. You have resources available to do, you have to steer it in the right direction, but if you're careful in steering it, you can do some nice things for your hospital, not only for just the hospital physically, to prepare to kind of make it nicer for the future for a lot of other things, but boy, you can do some nice things for your employees. And hospital employees generally don't get a lot of nice things done for them. So
that's the one pile of money. So that's PPP and CARES.
Then the last big piece is the advanced Medicare payment.
Okay.
And that one, what Medicare did way back, spring of last year, their concern was that because of, they just didn't, well, everybody's panicked. March of last year, everybody was panicked, didn't know what to do, what was going to happen. So Medicare, in anticipation of potentially COVID having a very difficult impact on hospitals, they advanced what they calculated to be 6 months of reimbursement to the hospitals.
Just right away.
Right away, to take care of any hiccups.
Based on previous.
Right.
Cost reports.
Right, but it is kind of, with the thought that if there's any hiccup in the reimbursement stream for hospitals, you've got this money available. Well, there never was any hiccup. There was, and for most hospitals it wasn't. I mean, it's an illness. Hospitals are going to get busier. Now, what you had was, there was a kind of initial dip in volume, like March, April, May. Everybody panicked, everybody stayed home. Everybody was staying home, not going to the doctor. But if you've got a chronic, ongoing medical issue, you can't stay home forever. And so hospitals figured out how to do it. And so really, we pretty much got back up to steam pretty quick, kind of normal routine.
Yeah.
And so we had all this money. So that advanced Medicare payment money was just sitting in the bank.
So they were reimbursing at a reasonable rate, or pretty much the same as what they had been before.
Yeah.
So are you going to have to send them Medicare?
Eventually, where that's at right
Money
now
back.
is that program also was deferred. And so what they've done is they started back in April of this year. They were going to try to recoup it very quickly, but they decided not to do that. And so what we're doing now is anytime we have a Medicare payment, Medicare remittance and Medicare payment coming our way, right now we're in the place where they're withholding 25% of it. And then here in a few more months, they'll jump it up to 50%. And then that'll run out, and I honestly, off the top of my head, I don't know where this stops. It's sometime in the middle of next year is when if there's anything left over, they'll want it back.
Yeah.
And there will be some left over.
So
They-
an 18-month process of,
But they're chewing it up right
Increments.
now as we go, they're chewing it up.
Yeah.
And so, and then we just take it and reimburse ourselves as they're doing that. So those are the main big programs that you have out there. And then there are some smaller ones that mimic the CARES money that the state provided, but they're somewhat not. Yeah, so that's where we're at with all the COVID money. So really, we've spent, just as of today, we will have exhausted all of those COVID, the CARES, grant monies, COVID monies. The payroll programs are done, and so the only thing that's really left is the advanced Medicare payment.
Okay.
And it's going to drag out for another.
But it sounds like you were able to get some tangible things done. I mean, as far as remodeling, when I visited with you, you were
When
kind
was
of
that?
showing. And it was.
That was early on.
Yeah, it's been November.
Yeah.
I think it was right after the election, maybe. November, December is when I was over there, but I haven't been over since. I'll stop by and see the
Yeah, I would
renovations.
encourage y'all to come over and see what we did.
Yeah, it
and a
would've-
really nice shower room
Yeah,
and new whirlpool.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's,
We've never had a.
we'll use that
good-
daily from now on, you know.
Yeah.
It really would have been nice strategically for us, it would have been nice if they had given us the money without any strings,
Yeah,
where you didn't have, I mean,
or not even a time, even
Yeah.
if you had strings,
Let
like
us
what
just-
you could and couldn't spend it on, but give us a couple of years. Our last round of funding here at the county level, they're gonna give us till end of '24. So
is that right?
Oh,
So they-
really?
Wow.
Yeah, end of '24 now, we have to be able to tie it,
to
Right,
I
COVID.
mean, hopefully by '24, we're trying to remember what.
See,
What COVID was.
yeah, to me, well, and to me, that's where I think it would have been nice if they'd allowed us to use the money. I mean, it really, what would be best for everyone would have said, okay, here's the money, we want you to use it, but use it in the way that you deem best for your facility, because you could have earmarked it for really specific things that really would have helped the hospital long-term. We were still able to do that, but you still got that COVID link to it, and so it does tend to limit your options, and we did things that, they were good, and they were nice, but they weren't necessarily the most efficient use of it. And so that's the unfortunate thing about, throwing all this money at you, is
We almost have to panic.
there would be, well, yeah, but there could have been we could have, there are things that were more valuable that were not available to be done just because of it had to somehow tie back, that really would have long-term, 10, 15 years from now, would have been much more beneficial to the hospital than what we've done. That being said, it's still done wonderful
A lot
It's
things.
got a nice upgrade that we wouldn't have been able to afford on, so we have 2 isolation rooms, wonderful bathing room. We're going to probably be able to remodel the emergency room and a few other odds and ends. We've got till midnight to figure that out, so we're kind of working on that.
No hurry.
Yeah.
And you got,
It's been a stressful 3 days.
and the other thing is you've got to take care of your employees. That's kind of, that's
Quite
nice.
well
I mean,
with that.
man, that's so beneficial. Now, unfortunately, what happens is as our human nature is, we appreciate it it lasts for about a month after it's over.
I was gonna say 30
Forget about
days.
it, yeah. But at least in the moment, you had a chance. And so, and if, that was nice.
I have had, and Joe's had, some pretty good conversations with appreciative employees the last couple of
So
weeks.
that's good.
It's given them a little
I'm
opportunity
all-
maybe to
I'm all
do
for
something
that.
that, at their home or at their level of, so it's,
That we could have done otherwise, so.
Good stuff.
That's it, man.
Sounds good.
I hope we don't have to do this
Yeah,
again.
thank you guys.
Thank you all.
Any other questions? Anything else on your
So is this emergency hospital concept going to affect the critical care access?
Well, if we would do it, I mean, we don't want to do that.
Yeah, what is the deal with that? We heard a little bit about that at our commissioner call.
What I would say is if for rural healthcare, you have two groups of hospitals. You have the critical access that are figuring out how to make critical access work, and you have all the other rural hospitals. Some are critical access, some are PPS hospitals, which is just brutal. That's not kind of fair. PPS is this reimbursement format that the big city hospitals have to live with. It's impossible for rural
Yeah.
healthcare to do that. And so what they're talking about is creating a step-down version from what a critical access would be, just to allow a community to retain some type of healthcare. And so this is probably an avenue for the critical access hospitals that can't seem to figure out a way to make it work. And then those PPS hospitals don't qualify for critical access that are just closing the doors. It's a step down that allows them to at least have basically an ER.
Yeah, but it would eliminate your swing bed.
Right, in our acute.
You don't, it's not a value,
Bank on that a
you,
lot, but
you
that's.
take that step if you got it.
For our community.
It's just
a
the
lot of
next
people-
step.
It's the next step
If
before.
if you don't have to, you're better off to stay out of that category.
Well, at that point, are you better off just having like a, what do they call it, like a urgent care? Like if you're gonna do that step down, it's basically an urgent care.
Yeah, that's what it is, but,
Basically,
but it still has to, but with an urgent care, at least, the reason why urgent cares are successful is they can generate volume,
Yeah.
pay for them. This is a step down that's not going to generate
kind
any more
of step down
volume.
from that,
Yeah,
really. isn't it?
yeah, it's just, it looks kind of similar, but it's not really, it's designed to just keep some medical care available in the community, that if you didn't have that, it goes away. And
Yeah.
now folks are really having to travel a considerable distance to try to get the health care. And so that's an effort to try to recognize that.
Okay.
It's kind of being promoted as savior for rural hospitals, which I think is kind of a misnomer the way to present it.
I'd say that too.
Because they don't go into detail of, I mean, it's not for everybody.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, guys.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Take it easy.
Oh, I got you.
Oh.
So we're done. But there's the last
Yeah.
one for budget.
Yes, that's the last one.
Okay, what else? We're done?
Are we going to continue to go through?
Finish up these budgets, but she doesn't have to be here.
Okay, good, we'll just turn that into a workshop. We're adjourned.